live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Hello there and a very warm welcome to the news live from the National News Studios. I'm Sharifa Tahir and joining with me tonight on the bulletin is Tarita Minipura Arachi. First off, we take a look at the headlines.
Religious observances take place at temples island-wide in connection with WAP Full Moon Poy Day. The President says a referendum will be held if the select committee that will be established does not decide on the parliamentary voting system. Steps will be taken to reduce the number of local government members from 8,000 to 4,000. Several amendments will be introduced to the electoral system. Accusations leveled stating that certain groups connected to the struggle are trying to meet political aspirations. Short distance sprinter Yupun felicitated in Italy. A passenger craft overturns in Nigeria, killing 10 persons. More than 60 have gone missing.
We now move on to those and other stories in detail, taking a look at the top story right now. Today is WAP Full Moon Poya Day, which has recorded many important events in the history of Buddha Sasana.
The offering of Katinaro Puja commences with the WAP Full Moon Poya Day. The history of Buddha Sasana mentions that Buddha visited South heaven and preached Abhidhamma to his mother in the previous birth and arrived at Sankalsapura in Dambadev on a day like today. Another significant incident that occurred today is the bringing of a branch of Jayasri Mahabodhi from India. The passing away of Arahat Mehidu, preaching of disciplinary Pitaka of Tuparame by the Arahat Arita are the other important historic events that are connected to the WAP Full Moon Poya Day. The Buddhist monks and observing was on WAP Full Moon Poya Day. WAP Full Moon Poya Day sermon organised by the Prime Minister's office took place today with the participation of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. Venerable Professor Kongas Thanne Anandathera delivered the sermon. Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation telecasted live Saddharma Varsha Poya Day religious programs from Kahapola Madapatha Sri Saddharame Temple. It includes several religious community programs. Amadam Sisilasa Dhamma sermon series took place this morning at the temple trees under the patronage of former President Mahinda Rajapaksha. The sermon was delivered by Chief Monk of Balapitiya Subhadrarama Rajamahawihare and Chairman of Southern Province United Bauddha Balamandale, Venerable Pandit Balapitiya Dhammikathera. A large number of pilgrims arrived from this morning at Sri Dalanda Maligava in Kandy to pay homage to the sacred tooth relic. A large group of people also arrived at Jayasri Mahabodhi at Ranvali Mahasaya and other sacred sites. Badulla historic Muthuyangana Rajamahawihare was filled with devotees. A series of programs have been organised under the guidance of Chief Prelate of the temple and the Mahanayaka of Asgira chapter, Most Venerable Warakagoda Jnanaratana Thera.
Today is Miladun-Nabi festival, or the birthday of Prophet Muhammad. Muslims around the world are engaging in religious practices in connection with the day. Milad-un-Nabi is one of the most important festivals celebrated by Muslims worldwide. People also celebrate Eid al-Milad-un-Nabi by taking out large processions and by decorating their homes too. It is also widely believed that the Prophet was born in Mecca on the 12th day of Rabiul Awwal, the third month in the Islamic calendar. President Ranil Wickremesinghe in his message says that the birthday of Prophet Muhammad, who is venerated by the Sri Lankan Muslims as well as the Muslim brethren around the world, is celebrated today. The President has said it is his belief that doctrine of Prophet Muhammad as the religious leader of the Islamic devotees around the world will help to alleviate the situation in the society today more than ever before. To live with the qualities that Prophet Muhammad preached and deal with others with a sense of understanding is a tribute to him rather than attempting to overcome them. The coming of the Prophet Muhammad and his visions signified the protection of the entire human community as well as their respect. By molding one's life in accordance with the teaching of Prophet Muhammad, one can achieve success not only spiritually but also socially. He has wished the birthday of Prophet Muhammad, who was also called Al-Amin, or the Trusted One, will lead to spiritual and social progress and peace of all the nations, including the Sri Lankan Muslims and Muslim brethren around the world. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena in his message has wished that the vision of Prophet Muhammad would pave the way for the success of Muslims worldwide. The Prime Minister has said that the vision of Prophet Muhammad opposes violence and hatred, and it shows a process for better social system, and it helps to control present social incidents. He has pointed out that the spiritual and social life would become better by honoring each other and working honestly.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that a referendum will be called to decide on the parliamentary electoral system if the select committee which is proposed to be established fails to reach a decision on the matter by July next year. He made these observations during a discussion with a group of professionals held at the Presidential Secretariat today. The President said that the desired changes to the political system should be brought about in accordance with the aspirations of the people, as the majority of the population of this country rejects the existing political system. He added that accordingly he expects to reduce the number of council members of local authorities from 8,000 to 4,000 and to implement the Jana Sabha system before the next election. He said that further the executive power of the Pradesh Sabha should be vested on a chairman-based committee instead of same thing being vested on a single chairman. Laws will be drafted for this amendment before the next Pradesh Sabha election. Pointing out that the main cause of political corruption is the preferential vote system, the President said that the country should immediately switch to a list-based electoral system with non-preferential votes or a mixed system. Limitation should be also imposed by the election law on the money spent on election propaganda. The President said that they should consider the people's aspirations and should act accordingly. It is not the government but former Speaker Karu Jayasuriya who recommended the Jana Sabha system. To unite the public organizations in that village level and working in one committee is what Jana Sabha is all about. The system which existed before as Gramodaya Mandala is commendable. Many people are not in favor of the preferential system. A decision should be taken to implement either the list mentioned without preference or the mixed method. A decision should be taken after discussions before the upcoming election, and that election should be held under the new system, where the suitable people would be elected. Another factor is that there is no youth representation in our political parties today. Many work with the same old people just for namesake. There are no new organizations. Therefore, separate law should be presented regarding the constitution of political parties, their work, how to recruit members, how the President said that he will present to Parliament the code of conduct and values of the MPs similar to that in British Parliament. Secretary General of the United National Party Palitharange Bandara, Parliamentarian Vajra Abeyawardena, National Organizer Akila Viraj Karyavasam, Chief of Staff to the President Sagala Ratnayaka, Senior Advisor to President Parliamentary Affairs Professor Ashumar Singha, Secretary to the President Saman Ekanayaka, former Minister Tilak Marapana, and professionals including former Vice Chancellor of the University of Sabaragamuwa, Professor Sunil Shanta, and professionals attended the event.
Supreme Court Justice, President's Counsel Bhuwanaka Pandukabaya Aluvihare took oaths today before President Ranil Wickremesinghe as the acting Chief Justice. He took oaths at the Presidential Secretariat. President Secretary Saman Ekanayaka was present at this occasion.
And meanwhile, the leader of the Samagi Jana Balawege, Sajith Premadasa, says his party will win any election that will be held in future. He mentioned this while attending the Yatinura seat Balamandala meeting of the party yesterday. Yatinura seat Balamandala meeting of Samagi Jana Balawege was held in Pilimathalava town. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that he has also set all data about Yatinura seat. He said that all plans are there and only the power is needed. He pledged to make the country self-sufficient when empowered. The country needs an election now. And meanwhile, the Jana Aragale Puravasi organization is accusing that certain groups who joined the struggle are trying to meet their political aspirations.
General Secretary of the organization, Chanaka Bandara, said that while taking part in a religious program in memory of those who died while in the struggle and to mark 6 months for the struggle. The religious program took place near the Buddha statue at Vihara Mahadevi Park in Colombo. Merits were bestowed on 9 persons who died during the struggle period.
අපි මේ රටේ සමස්ත ජනතාවම පක්ෂපාත සියලු දේවල් අතාරලා තමයි අරගලයට ආවේ.
The International Postal Day ceremony was held today at the Postal headquarters in Colombo under the patronage of Minister Bandulu Gunawardena.
9th October each year, recalling the Universal Postal Association anniversary in 1874 in Switzerland, is marked as the International Postal Day. The theme of the day is the year's Postal Day is Mihikatata Tepala. A special commemorative stamp was issued today in connection with International Postal Day. Driving license will be distributed in future through Postal Sri Lanka Service Courier Services, which was launched today. Prizes and certificates were awarded to the agency post officers who earned the highest income. Secretary to the Ministry of Mass Media, Anusha Palpita, Postmaster General Ranjit Ariratna, and a group of people were present on this occasion. Minister Bandulu Gunawardena said that people are living in a difficult time and there is no political solution. If they know the way to solve the crisis, there is no need of foreign experts. This is a national crisis which has only 4 solutions. They are increasing state revenue, reducing state expenditure, increasing foreign exchange into the country, and minimizing foreign exchange going out of the country.
A new rice festival took place today on the bank of Inginiagala Senanayaka Samudraya. It took place in memory of D.S. Senanayaka, who built Inginiagala Senanayaka Samudraya. New rice obtained from Yala's season was used for the festival. Floral tribute were paid to the statue of D.S. Senanayaka built on the bank of Inginiagala tank by Ampara District Secretary J.M.A. Douglas. Thereafter, indigenous people in Pollebadda invoked blessings by performing the traditional Kiri Koraha dance. All religious practices took place, including an all-night Dhamma sermon and almsgiving. Ampara Irrigation Director Sudat Gamage released water symbolizing issuing of water. Farmers who cultivate using water from Ampara Senanayaka Samudra organized the ceremony. A large number of local tourists have arrived in Nuwara during the weekend holiday. Hotel Owners Association said all tourist hotels, rest houses and guest houses in Nuwara town have been filled with local tourists. They can be seen near Gregory's Lake, Victoria Park, Nuwara town and Hagala Botanical Garden. A special security program is in operation for the safety of tourists.
And meanwhile, religious programs have been organized island-wide in connection with the Vap Full Moon Poya Day. Chanting of Kosal Bimba Varanava took place after several centuries at Gaspe Bandaragudda Sri Javardhanarama Historic Temple. It took place under the guidance of Chief Prelate of the temple, Venerable Gaspe Sri Sadhananda Thera. A religious ceremony to ordain 3 children took place at the Madhuragiri Buddhist Center yesterday under the guidance of Venerable Madhuragiri Asaji Thera. A religious function took place at Katina Robe at the homes of Dayaka Sabha Council members, and to invoke blessings by chanting Perit took place at the Anuradhapura Hidogama area. It was held under the patronage of the Chief Prelate of Hidogama, Pavakulama Sri Shalithalarabe, Venerable Ruanvele Samithananda Thera. Pitipana South Galagahinet United Welfare Society organized a blood donation campaign recently. Members of the society and people in the area donated blood. A program to donate medicine took place at the Los Angeles Dharma Vijay Temple to mark the 79th birth anniversary of Chief Sankanayaka of the U.S. Venerable Dr. Walpola Pinanda Thera. A large number of devotees from Vietnam, Thailand, Bangladesh, Myanmar and Sri Lanka attended the ceremony. A fund enabling to pay electricity bills of the temples in remote areas in Sri Lanka was set up to coincide with the event. Sri Lanka Consul General in Los Angeles, Lalit Chandrasena, were present on this occasion. And meanwhile, the World Mental Health Day falls tomorrow. The theme of the day is making the mental health a global health trend.
A mental health cycling tour took place this morning in connection with the World Mental Health Day. It has been organized by the College of Mental Health, and doctors, nurses, artists and a group of people took part in the cycle tour.
And we now bring you some news items in brief. A commemoration ceremony was held today in connection with the 77th birth anniversary of Vijay Kumar Tunga near his house at Polhengoda. It has been organized by Sri Lanka Mahajana Party. The official newspaper of the party also was launched on this occasion. A group of people including MPs Vasudeva Nanayakara, Tissa Vitharana and Premanand Dulawat were present on this occasion. OIC of the Beruala Police Anti-Voice Corruption Division has died in a motorcycle accident this morning. The accident had occurred when 2 motorcycles collided head-on. Ponniyin Selvan film directed by Manjutham has received high response from the Sri Lankan fans.
The film was launched internationally on the 30th. Apart from Sri Lanka, the film has been released to the European market as well. Indian media reported that the film earned an income of 3 billion Indian rupees during the first 5 days after releasing in India. Veteran musician A.R. Rahman is the music director of the film. Ponniyin Selvan film has been created based on Chola dynasty 1000 years ago. Mani Ratnam says Kalki Krishnamurthy book launched in 1955 has been used for the film. The theme of the film is a clash between Pandya and Chola kingdoms. Veteran actors such as Vikram, Aishwarya Rai, Trisha, J.M. Ravi, Prabhu, Karthi and Sarath Kumar are acting in the film. The script has been written by Ilango Kumaravel and B. Jayamohan. Camera direction is by Ravi Varman and produced by Subhaskaran Alliraja. Local actor Shyam Fernando is acting as the fifth Mahinda in the film. Well, that's it on local stories. We'll be back with news overseas. Do stay tuned in.
ඉතින් මහත්තයෝ මොනවද අලුත් තොරතුරු එන?
දැන් ආපහු රට පුරාම ඩෙන්ගු අවදානම තියෙනවනේ. මදුරුවන්ට බිත්තර දාන්න පුළුවන් වෙන විදියට වතුර එකතු වෙන තැන් පරිසරයට නිතර එකතු වීම තමයි මේකට තියෙන ලොකුම ගැටලුව. තමුන්ගේ දරුවෝ ගැන හිතලා, අසල්වාසීන් ගැන හිතලා, තමුන්ගේ ගෙවත්ත පිරිසිදුව තියාගන්නවා නම් මේ ගැටලු හුඟක් අපට විසඳ ගන්න පුළුවන්.
Welcome back, and we move on to news overseas now. At least 10 people have died and another 60 are missing after a boat capsized in Nigeria's southeastern Anambra state.
The vessel with 85 people on board capsized amid heavy flooding while trapping the passengers. Anambra authorities said that 10 people had drowned. They further said that 15 people had been rescued last evening. Authorities added that the boat's engine failed and it was overpowered by waves shortly after it launched. A military disaster response unit from the Nigerian army was assisting the search effort. Anambra is among the 29 of Nigeria's 36 states to have experienced heavy flooding this year. The waters have washed away homes, crops and roads and impacted at least 500,000 people.
At least 17 people have been killed by Russian missile strikes on the southeastern city of Zaporizhia, the Ukraine Defense Ministry has said. Dozens more were wounded and several residential buildings destroyed. The city is under Ukrainian control, but it is part of a region that Russia claimed it annexed last month. Zaporizhia has been hit repeatedly in recent weeks as Russia hits back at urban areas after suffering defeats in the south and northeast of Ukraine. Parts of Zaporizhia region, including its nuclear power plant, which is around 30 miles from the city, have been under Russian control since early in the invasion. The Ukrainian regional governor in Zaporizhia said 12 Russian missiles partially destroyed a 9-story building and leveled 5 other residential buildings.
New York City mayor declared a state of emergency to address a crisis situation over an influx of immigrants. More than 17,000 have arrived in the city from the southern border since April. Republican states like Texas, Arizona and Florida have been sending migrants to Democratic areas in recent months. It is part of a row with the White House as unprecedented numbers of people arrive at the U.S.-Mexico border. New York City mayor said that since September, an average of 5 to 6 buses have been arriving in the city each day. He further said that many of those arriving are families with school-age children and are in serious need of medical care. The influx is on a track to cost New York $1 billion this fiscal year, and the mayor is calling for federal and state funding to help with the costs.
A natural reserve in East China has seen over 200 blue-tail bee-eaters inhabiting and foraging in the sanctuary this year, 5 times the number of the rare species resting there a decade ago. The blue-tail bee-eaters on the second level of national protection migrate to the Wuyuan Bay Reserve Zone in Xiamen City of East China's Fujian province from April to October every year. The staff members of the sanctuary build a cliff for the blue-tail bee-eaters every year as they love to dig holes on cliff to nest. The workers also use endoscopes to check the interior of nests after the newborn rare birds leave the reserve zone. The number of blue-tail bee-eaters in the Wuyuan Bay Natural Reserve Zone now tops 200, increasing by 4-fold from the 40 to 50 birds 11 years ago.
And meanwhile, China has gained a hard-won achievement in ecological restoration of wetlands, which pose significant increase of the endangered migratory birds inhabiting in Hebei province, marking the World Migratory Birds Day. World Migratory Birds Day is celebrated twice a year on the second Saturday of May and the second Saturday of October to spotlight the importance of migratory birds conservation. Since the cold season sets in this year, myriad of migratory birds are flying to wetlands in North China's Hebei province. Rare species have been spotted recently in the area for the first time, including white pelicans and Bear's poacher ducks. Both bird species are under the first-grade state protection and have never been observed in Hebei province before. The Bear's poacher ducks, which is one of the red list of threatened species of the International Union for Conservation of Nature, with less than 5,000 of left worldwide. In recent years, wetland restoration projects have been carried out across Hebei province to optimal ecological environment for migratory birds to inhabit and reproduce. Visitors flocked to Japan's ancient capital of Nara to watch an ancient traditional event. The prefecture's popular herd of deer and their antlers trimmed. A conservation group carries out the task every year to prevent the stags from injuring each year's other's visitors during the animals' mating season. The event was held for the first time in 3 years since it was cancelled due to the coronavirus pandemic. The event began on Saturday at the Kasuga Taisha shrine. Workers dressed in traditional Japanese habs code used bamboo poles to red flags to corner the deer in groups of 3. Visitors applauded this year's workers, caught the deer and trimmed their antlers with saws. The procedure is said to be painless as there are no blood vessels, nerves in the antlers. They will start growing again this spring. The trimming will continue until tomorrow.
இப்படி வந்திட இப்படி அல்பங்கள்
Prima Katumi Fantamai.
Welcome back, and we move on to sports news now. A ceremony to felicitate short-distance runner Yupun Abekon took place in Italy with the participation of Sports Minister Roshan Ranasinghe and also his coach.
The ceremony took place at Sri Lanka Embassy in Rome. Embassy officials, including Sri Lanka's ambassador Jagat Vallabhatta, Sri Lankans living in Rome, main coach of Yupun Abekon Claudic Lisabello, and assistant coach Warriors of Rapoli were present at the ceremony. The sports minister has requested coach of Yupun to arrive in Sri Lanka and to train local sportsmen and women. He has accepted the invitation and appreciated the felicitation of Yupun by minister arriving in Italy. The group visited the training ground and training center of Yupun Abekon.
And finally, on sports news, Kalhari Madhurika of the Western Province won the women's walking race at the 47th National Games. MD Rukmal of the Uva Province won the men's event of the race.
The men's and women's walking races took place this morning at Gampaha. Kalhari Madhurika was won the women's race, clocked 50 minutes and 57.31 seconds. Dinushi Dilhani of the Southern Province won the second place, while PB Gayani of the same province won the third place. MD Rukmal of the Uva Province won the men's event with a timing of 34 minutes and 8.48 seconds. Ravindra Herath of the National Central Province won the second place, and Sandur Lakmal of the Northwestern Province won the third place. A.D. Mendonza of the Western Province won the men's cycling race at the National Games. He completed the race in 3 hours, 57 minutes and 36.23 seconds. T.Z. Dayananda of the Western Province won the second place and D.S. Noguera won the third place. Sri Lanka became the runner-ups of the Men's World Carom Championship. Women's team won the third place. They arrived in the country last night from Malaysia. The Yacht Commander won the championship of Navy Inter-Command Sailing Boat competition, and Training Command won the championship of the women's category. The competition took place at Inner Harbour, Trincomalee. A felicitation ceremony for Mathura City football team, which won the Champions League, took place in Mathura town with the participation of cricketer Sanath Jayasuriya.
இப்படி வென்றிட இப்படி அல்பங்கள்.
Prima Katumi Fantamai.
And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news. Together with Charita, I'm Sharifa, wishing you a very pleasant night.